being a flow artist means not running from the pain. It is feeling it, it is accepting it, and it is releasing it so we can come back stronger for each other and for ourselves.
There's a world inside my head. I get lost in it from time to time.
So, we're just going to start this off real simple. Who am I? My name is Serena. What do I do? I'm a fitness instructor and massage therapist. Where am I at? Austin, Texas. Great, one of the greatest places on earth. I may be a little biased though. Yeah, like I said, everyone, my name is Serena. I am a Steel Mace Flow educator, coach, flow artist, and all around fitness enthusiast. I have been flowing with a mace for about 4 to 5 years, something along those lines. I got to check my Facebook timelines. Does anyone else use Facebook to remember what the hell has gone on in their lives in at least the past 10 years? All right. So today we're going to get into a topic. We're diving deep. I've got my matcha from Strong Coffee. I'm ready to go. And I want to talk about flow. I want to talk about what is a flow artist and what that means to you and what it can look like for you. Because when I talk to a lot of students or when I'm working with newer students, one of the big questions that they want answered is how to flow. And first off, I like to get a sense of what flow means to them and how it shows up or how it has already showed up in their lives. Because I do believe we already have this connection with flow in each of us. Some may have a stronger connection in some ways than others. I've noticed for people who are more in tune with their emotions or just more expressive, it's a little bit easier for them to find that sense of flow because flow does have emotion. It's an energy, it's charged for sure. Um, and then people that are more maybe perhaps analytical in some senses, they want to understand flow. They want to know what steps does it take to get into flow. So with them, it's more of this lessening the questions and the hows and just simply just dropping into something and surrendering a little bit versus the emotional state is of finding flow is really creating that balance of taking away the necessarily the titles, say emotions. This is sadness, this is happiness, this is whatever, and just understanding that it's just an energy. It's just a form of something in your body that's either stuck and you need to break it and let it get into free flow. And that's essentially what you can, and a lot of people do utilize flow state for, is taking back that sense of that calm, that balance, that free flow of energy. When we take on trauma, we tend to take it on and not, we understand it and we process it maybe in that frontal conscious plane, that frontal plane. Ugh, holy shit. Going back to it, back into the stuckness. So we will process it here, but then we forget that the body needs to process and release that too. And if we don't, we're still, stuck in that fight or flight state with a lot of things. And that's where a lot of anxiety, I think, is misplaced, is just not, or it can be made worse, is not truly understanding the systems in your body that are set off that do need to be reset or at least connected to and be aware of. Um, I've been working for the past, I'll say about 3 years on this cycle of depression and anxiety and being pushed and pulled and overthinking and really just being stuck and feeling so anxious. And it's debilitating. It's exhausting. It's something that I absolutely feel for you if you have experienced this too. And, mine was a culmination of a lot of things, which I'll save for many other conversations, but the bulk of it, just recognizing that I also, while I was working through a lot of past traumas and working on this, anxiety and depression that I just hadn't chosen to acknowledge was there. um, the flow state really helped in all of that. The moving with the mace was very powerful because it allowed me to, while I was processing up here, connect to what was going on and feeling stuck in here. Because I would wake up days and my heart would feel so heavy, or I would feel so angry or mad or whatever, and I just wouldn't understand, like, how do you wake up feeling just like, like you woke up on the wrong side of the bed and life just sucks, or you hate yourself. And it was just because it was those pieces of stuck energy. Uh, in and this is how I've broken it down in my mind to, again, process and release this and move forward. Because I was tired of staying stuck in this circle, this cycle of shit, really. All right, hold on. Break for the Brittany. This is not a paid ad. Do yourself a favor. Get some iced sunrise strong coffee matcha. ASMR. Where were we? We were talking about. All right, we were talking about flow. So identifying where flow has possibly shown up in your life, or if it hasn't, we'll start to lay the foundation either way off of what flow means to you, what you want to attain through flow, and also explore the benefits and possibilities of flowing in different patterns and in different expressions. So for me, there's definitely different expressions that come out of my flows depending on possibly the beat, the emotion, or just what I want to be in flow. That's one of the greatest things about flow state and steel mace flow is I have built this being, this woman who is so fierce yet feminine and graceful, so passionate and relentless. I tap into that I want to say character, but it's this energy that I summon, and it's all pieces of myself. It is the masculinity, the femininity, and everything in between syncing together. Steel Mace Flow gives me this space to culminate all of these aspects and put them together, and I am whole. I am a whole being when I am flowing with my mace, and that gets to be seen. And I think that's what makes Steel Mace Flow so beautiful, and the way that I express myself through that, why people are inspired by it, is because it's authentic, it's real, it's raw. I'm not faking something here. I'm pulling from all aspects of myself. And then there are the games where you play where it's like, I want to flow like Leo, or I want to flow like Jeff. And that's a really fun game to play, is like pull little pieces or little nuances from how other people flow. And that in turn progresses your own arsenal of moves, of things to tap into in a quicker way and a less present way, in the sense of, hey, I have to pull myself out of that deep flow state to think about changing out of this pattern. So for example, I have a pattern that is really, really just drilled and ingrained into my system because it likes the movement so much. And it's a lot of mills, scoops, outside sword swings, front sword swings, and now crescents. There's a very definitive flow pattern that I have that I can tap into without even thinking. My body just knows it, even without a mace in my hands. It's this really twisting roll. And that is like this very pure gypsy energy. And it's very cat-like in a sense. And I noticed that that's the pattern I kept repeating, and it was hard for me to get out of it. So I got frustrated for a while because I was like, I'm a one-trick pony. I'm a one-trick mace pony, which in a way was good because I'm very, very proficient with those movements. And now what I've been doing is playing with that pattern and learning how to break it down and teach it to students, learning how to do it backwards, and also where can that feed into and feed out of different flow patterns and movements. Play with that pattern and go into a Shaolin. How can a Shaolin fit into this? How can we drop into this pattern from a Shaolin? Or just, endless ways to plug into this and expand my flow. And then challenge myself in ways of, hey, let's move completely away from that pattern to where you don't go into a mill, a sword swing, or any of that flow style. Go into everything else, get outside of the box, get uncomfortable. And, I think that's where, when we start to compare ourselves to other flow artists, and I'm speaking specifically from a steel mace point of view, from a steel mace flow point of view, because that's the practice that I know the most, and I am well aware and within the community. And just speaking from my experience, growing up in this, really my niche is what I dropped into almost right away when I started coaching, which was cool. And in a way, it definitely has shown me where I start to compare myself to other artists that have come up, and I'm just like, wow, they're so fucking amazing and beautiful, and here I am doing the same shit. Now when I feel that little itch of like, oh man, I think they might be better than me, they are in their own unique style and way. And that is no comparison to you whenever you flow with who you are and your authenticity. There is competition in the sense of, hey, let's push each other to grow. And when you look at it like that, is like you see Jeff or whoever, somebody, I always say Jeff's name. I love you, Jeff. he's my brother. Ways when you so looking at some of Jeff's flows and stuff, and I'm like, man, he's really putting in the work. If I do feel that sting of like, oh, he's doing more better things and doing deeper things, it's like, oh, it's a reflection of where am I at with my own practice. And I take it as like a holy crap. Number one, I get to show gratitude towards my fellow educator and friend, and also I'm gonna take that and study. And that's just the revolution of where I'm at right now. All the time we waste worrying or thinking or comparing or saying, oh, I'll never be like that, or I wish I could be like that, or maybe one day. If you took all those little moments when you do that and add them up into just a coalition of time, and you use that time to put in the work, you'd probably be take out that probably, you'll be exactly where you need to be and want to be. And you still won't be thinking of that, oh my gosh, I'm there. It's just, you recognize your accomplishments for sure. Being present, just working within flow and taking your time to own the reps and say, yeah, I'm going to work for this fucking form and not judge myself for getting it wrong. It's simply a process to get to this intricate flow state. I mean, there's definitely levels to flow and feeling the steps and getting comfortable moving. There's definitely days where I don't drop necessarily into a full flow state, but there's this space between flow state and consciousness where you can take in the information so much better and without judgment or without, hey, I did that wrong again. Gosh, this is so frustrating. Why can't I get it wrong? You're looking for that time under tension. That's the whole idea behind the mace, is sending your body into these uncomfortable positions and learning how to own them and own them longer each time. Yeah, it sucks to hold your mace and rip it apart and be in that perfect lunge position, but damn, will it make your joints and your whole system so much more fortified after doing those things. And then learning how to own that and progress it into higher degrees of flow, higher degrees of intricacy of the movements is awesome. So long-winded suggestion there. Focus on the work right in front of you. I like to talk about flow. I wrote something earlier too about what is a flow artist, just to go off of his notes, and it ended up transcending to the conversation of mastery of flow. And you hear a lot out there about, oh, it's, some people want you to master, you have to master this. And, and then there's others that state that, true mastery is there's no level. and or there should be no level of mastery. You always remain a student. And I think mastery is respecting and understanding all of it in that sense. So mastery of flow is knowing a craft inside and out, embodying the message of said practice of flow. Inspire to create, and the pillars, for example, are the embodying, that would be you, the student, wanting to, if you're searching for mastery within this craft, also understanding and recognizing and honoring the story of where this practice comes from, what the inspire to create, educate to heal, put mace in hands truly means, be able to iterate that to someone and explain. You also, that opens up for you to tell your story and your connection to why you do this practice for yourself and why you choose to teach it. Or even if you're just a student, I think, and not a coach, I mean, you're still a teacher in some senses, because who's not going to want to pick up a mace or come over and ask you questions, and I'm really thankful for the steel mace and steel mace flow in that sense, because people are very curious about what the mace is. And I've struggled with being able to connect with people in that sense, and strangers. I'm very, I don't want to say shy. I reclude, or I'm like, I can recluse back and don't want to talk to people. And the mace attracts people. So in a sense, it's like you get more interaction with unknown and make new friends and connections through this. And I think that's a great aspect to this fitness tool. If you see somebody with dumbbells or a kettlebell in the park, you're probably going to know what they are, or at least be like, yep, they're working out. But with the mace, and especially when you're flowing with the mace and stuff, that's really cool. But it's also not fire, and it's just interesting, and people want to approach you in that. So that's, and that's honoring, being able to talk about it to people who come up, is also honoring the practice, and being respectful to curiosity, and knowing that, yeah, you're holding space for something that can potentially change other people's lives. So, and then the pillars we're going to get into, I said into the pillars we'll talk about in another episode, and we may have a couple guests on that one. So stay tuned. Knowing that true mastery comes from always seeking, and yet remaining humble and respectful by maintaining a strong foundation within the fundamentals. It is to be able to teach and be taught. So sometimes we go through the programs, right? Level 1, level 2, maybe we take them a couple of times, and then, there's either the route of we continue to take the education and we remain humble with it, and we remain to say, hey, there's always room to learn. Or it's like, no, I know what I'm doing, and da 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 da, and not saying, some people go through that. The stronger, more, I will say, flashier artists, definitely I have seen go through these periods of time where their egos definitely run in the flow, and there's a lot to be learned there. I have definitely been there myself. I've been a little rebellious in ways against my own teachers and things like that. But really recognizing at the end of the day, especially now that I'm getting older, it's more ideal for me to remain consistent and remain humble. Like a lot of these flashy movements too, this goes back to remaining humble and respectful of the foundations, as well as holding that steady line for your body, and just being able to gauge and check in, and not pushing that body to that limit every single freaking day. There are going to be times where your body's just going to need to do it. Like my body has definitely been through the ringer the last month. And I was trying my best to take care of it as well, but I needed to expel energy. And so I did my best of taking care of it while being relentless. My mom was recently diagnosed with breast cancer and started chemo. And I told myself throughout this process, or at the beginning of this, that I was going to feel my feelings and not hide from them. And I was going to do the best I possibly could to take care of myself, so I could show up good for my mom. And my mom lives in a different state as well. So this is already tough. And her being immunocompromised, the possibility of me giving her a cold or possibly COVID is higher. So, we're trying to figure out if I can even go out there, or if I have to quarantine first, just to, because I would love to be there, of course, to take care of her. Having to hear her go through her first chemo round by herself, and just hearing how tired and sick and in pain she was. And it's a terrifying experience as a child to hear your parent go through something like that and be alone. And she has family around her, of course, but me as her kid, I'm like, that's my mom. That's the person who gave me life. And my mom and I have been through a very unique, horrifying experience most of our lives. And that'll be for another episode as well, me growing up in a cult. But we're fighters, and she's fought so hard all of her life, and especially for me. And I wouldn't be where I am today without her, for sure. And we finally get her to a space of she's happy, she's free, she's recognizing, we're both recognizing how we can make our own choices, because we broke free of some big chains, and then all of a sudden, bam, she gets cancer. It's like, what the fuck? So, having this this portion of flow, to respecting the basics and taking care of myself, and knowing that this is this is how I keep myself sane, essentially. When she told me everything, I've been fucked up emotionally, and I've also been very open about it. Are you going to come up here? Come on. I've been very open about what's going on. I told my students in my classes what was going on. I broke down so many times and cried in front of them. And we had some of the most amazing classes, and it's made us closer as a community. And I did this not for pity. Yes, for some compassion. Some days definitely I've woken up and I'm like, I don't want to fucking be around people. I don't want to go out and around. Like, my mom is sick. And even though I know, like, we're making it through this, and we have a plan in place, and she's going to get through it and be fine. It's still scary. Like, you're never prepared just for the little things that start to pop up. I mean, they can tell you all the things in the world that good could happen, may happen. And it still doesn't make it any less harsh when it does. Her calling me about mouth sores, her calling me about all the weight she's losing and feeling so weak and barely being able to get out of bed to go to the bathroom, scares the shit out of me. And I have definitely felt guilt being here in Texas. I'm like, I can eat. I have all the opportunity in the world. Like, my body's not sick. So with that notion, with that knowledge, taking as best care of myself as I can here, because number one, I don't have something that's wreaking havoc on my body and forcing me to take something that wreaks more havoc on my body. And two, so again, like I said, I can show up for my mom. I'm working my tail off. I'm getting all my ducks in a row. I'm choosing to keep my apartment here and really just launch my business, teach, because I get to, and I get to teach the thing that I love, and make money doing the same. So I'm going to teach as much as possible, show up as a good coach that's present, ready to go, and all for my mom. The power of a loved one, and the freaking bitch slapping by reality that I've received, has been tough. And at the same time, so enlightening, and has got me really to prioritize what matters and how I'm going to take care of these things that really, really matter. So being a flow artist means rising above. Being a flow artist means getting present and showing up. Being a flow artist means not running from the pain. It is feeling it. It is accepting it. And it is releasing it so we can come back stronger for each other and for ourselves. So thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in. This has been a blast. like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Check out my Gypsy series. It is on sale over at my website, steelmacegypsy.thinkific.com. It is an awesome Steel Mace Flow series that gives you 15 custom flows created by me with love. Talk to you guys soon.